Moving forward, I will do better. I also want to apologize to the crew of the H3 podcast, particularly AB and Olivia. I apologize for calling them cowards for not quitting their jobs. That was a shameful attack on two people who deeply care about Palestine and Palestinian people.
That's my question, because this is what it is, and the internet is going to react as it does. But I'm genuinely curious. Do you think this makes you look good? I'm not. But hey, here, let's insulate ourselves twice in a row. It's the disclaimer, and it's a legal disclaimer, and it just tells you this program's satire. Nothing, and all the characters and events in the show are not based on real people. Not actually talking about anything real. It's all just silly jokes for the internet to have a time. That's what the show is, certainly. And let us get right to the main story. I'm just gonna put that at the very top for a little bit, just in case anyone thinks that I'm giving them legal advice. I'm not giving you legal advice because I'm not a lawyer and I can't give you legal advice. But I have said before that I actually used to work in the film industry back in, a long time ago, before I was working as an internet opinionated clown. I was working in a variety of different fields in the film and television industry, including digital distribution, which was becoming a very hot commodity. Back then, there was only a few streaming sites, and those streaming sites were really competing to get as many catalog TV shows as they could, and so I was working for a distribution company that was originally out of Saskatchewan, but moved to Vancouver, that had a large catalog of true crime shows, and I was trying to have to reach out to different companies and corporations to be able to source those true crime shows to find their way onto different streaming sites, and as a result, I had to deal a lot of the time with lawyers. I had to talk to a lot of lawyers, and lawyers that would explain and talk a lot about things like fair use. For you see, when you make a documentary of any kind and you want to distribute that documentary, inside your documentary, you might have clips from other shows, other news programs, other streamers, other people's content that you take and then you want to use it, but you want to use it without having to ask for their explicit permission. And you don't want to infringe on their copyright. Well, it turns out there are certain terms and conditions in which you can do that. And those in Canada are what are called fair dealing laws. And in the United States, it's called fair use. If you are, in fact, going to be transforming the purpose of the original copyright holder's material, you do not have to get their permission to do so. So say I want to make I won't call it a hit piece, but a documentary on one Hassan Piker. And I want to teach the entire world that Hassan Piker is not a good person, all right? He's not someone who should be doling out Chad advice. He should not be speaking on international issues because he is, in fact, a terrorist sympathizer who has been platforming terrorists and doesn't actually want to make people's lives better by improving their material conditions, but is, in fact, a full-blown, hardcore, neo-Marxist communist trying to destroy society. And I want to make a documentary and prove that. But here's the thing. In order to prove that, I got to show all of you a bunch of clips of Hassan, all right? And I gotta use select clips from certain moments. Maybe I'll take them out of context, maybe I won't, but I'm gonna take a whole bunch of them, and I need to use a lot of them. I need to use a lot of his copyright material to make that documentary, and I put it into the form of something known as a content nuke. So I'm here to nuke him and his content into oblivion. And that's basically the idea that Ethan Klein had, and he made a content nuke on Hassanabi. Now, when you're doing that, in order to have a situation where Hassanabi, or Hassan Piker in this case, isn't going to sue you, because that's kind of scary. What if Hassan got really mad and he was like, fuck you, Ethan Klein, I'm going to sue you for taking my copyright material from my streams, which you did without my permission. Well, that would be very scary if that person is very litigious, if they're known for being litigious. So, if that was the case, you'd really want to make sure that what you did when you took Hassan's footage and his streams and his content is you left no room for lawyers, a judge, or even a jury to ever think that you infringed on his copyright. That's different than what Ethan Klein did. See, Ethan Klein made the content nuke, And then he filled the content nuke with a whole bunch of content that was not his. He didn't own the copyright to, including a whole bunch of work by Hassan Piker. He didn't actually indicate where the sources of those clips were from. You have to put that onto the screen at some point, either in the credits or even in the description. You could do that later. I mean, he could do that at any point now. He's not doing that because this is not something he's worried about. He's not worried about being sued by Hassan for copyright infringement. He's actually trying to bait Hassan into producing more content with him. In a lot of ways, if it wasn't so destructive and evil, it's almost cute, right? Like if you miss someone so much and you just want them in your lives in any capacity, you might start looking at other venues or ways to pull them in again, to get them to talk about you or to get them to make content on you. And so what if you made a content nuke on them and they have to respond? They have to. He's got to watch it, and then he's got to watch it and comment on it, and then he's got to talk about why he misses you so much. That's gonna happen. It's definitely gonna happen as long as I make it really, really aggressive, and I talk about how he's in fact a misogynist and a terrorist, and everyone hates him afterwards because it's going to change the internet. So Ethan Klein released the content nuke, and a bunch of people watched the content nuke, including who you see on camera right now, Kaceytron, including other people like Asmongold, XQC. They watched it in its totality because they are not fans of Hassan Piker and they wanted to see the takedown. They were doing the exact same thing that Kaceytron did, right? But in the instance of three women, and three women specifically, Kaceytron, Frogan, and Denims, they were the only ones that got lawsuits from Ethan Klein. And Ethan Klein registered his content nuke with the Library of Congress, giving him the ability to then do a litigious lawsuit to sue all of these women into oblivion for having the audacity to criticize him. Now, before I get the angriest people on the internet filling my comments and flooding all of the chats and the Twitters and the blue skies and everywhere saying, Lance, this is not about that. This is about content theft, and you should care about that because you make content. You make documentaries, youtube.com/@theserfstv. You'll find many a documentary, including a new one, if you haven't already watched it, on Asmongold and his long and racist and horrifying history. But in those documentaries, right, like you are making those, you're writing them, you're scripting them, you're acting in them, you're voicing them, you're editing them, and then you put them out there. Is it okay for another streamer to just play them on their streams? I would say yeah, because ultimately I want the content to get out there and have more people see it. So if a streamer's watching it, but is it okay for another streamer to steal it, to download it, to then upload it as their own and pretend it was them, or perhaps upload it to Nebula or Netflix or something like that? Okay, all right, they're infringing on the copyright. But what are we talking about here? Because every day, H3H3 goes online and they just watch other people's content. And they don't, I would say, adequately pause, only use a small amount of it, whatever is necessary to be litigious. Because here is the part that makes this whole thing difficult. There is not a set standardized, you will win or you will lose in a court of law situation for fair use and fair dealing. It's going to be case specific. And so if you then go to a lawyer and you tell a lawyer, hey, I want to sue Kaceytron because I think she infringed on my copyright by playing my video, the lawyer will explain to you the following, most likely. And this is, again, just me assuming. I have no idea what I'm talking about. Look at the disclaimer that's on the screen right now. The lawyer will most likely say something to you to the effect, do you own the original copyright to the material that she was watching? Of course I do. I made it. It's my content nuke. That's my copyrights materials. I own it. And then she stole it. In that content nuke that you made, did you use footage from any other source? Copyright source? Yes. Did you acknowledge the copyright source? I did not. Did you use a very small amount of that so we could justify it if we actually went into a lawsuit that you in fact were transformative, that you were not actually infringing on the copyright owner's original purpose when they invented that material or released that material, and you have in fact transformed it for a different purpose? Will we be able to do that? Some cases yes, some cases maybe, some cases kind of no. Yeah. All right, so what are we talking about here? Well, here's the situation. You have a lot more money than Kaceytron. A lot. So we could do this. I could sue Kaceytron for copyright infringement, and if she had the resources and the money and a high-powered legal team, they would basically do the following. they'd try to put together an argument that you actually didn't own the original copyright to the content nuke because you took a whole bunch of material from other people, like Hassan Piker, etc. You didn't acknowledge that they were the original copyright holders, and you certainly went beyond what is considered a fair dealing bounds, right? Like, you went beyond what one could assume was necessary to take clips of him, to transform it and make it into your own. And in that case, you wouldn't have a case to sue her for copyright infringement because you didn't own the original copyright. She could do that, but I'm just saying, that'll be super expensive. We're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars, all right? She's going to have to hire a lot of people who are going to have to do a lot of research. They're going to have to go through your entire content nuke with a thin, fine-tooth comb and provide examples that they have no guarantees about whether or not a judge or a jury would accept. Examples such as, in this case, you have used over a minute of Hassan Piker's stream, and you use it to prove this point, but there are other parts in his content that you're just playing on screen right now that have nothing to do with this point. This doesn't count as transformative. In this case, I believe you've infringed on his copyright. Now, he's not suing you, so you're not in trouble, but it does invalidate your argument that you own the original copyright to this and that she's in fact infringing on your copyright. That's what this would all get down to at its core, because I know there's a lot of, like, you know, like me, not real lawyers, but armchair lawyers on the internet right now saying that Kaceytron was in the wrong here. She stole Ethan Klein's content. I don't care if you like her. I don't care if you love her. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, she was stealing his content, and he has a case that she was taking away his ability to generate income off of it because she was monetizing her streams, and as a result of monetizing her streams, people were watching her, watching him, so she was stealing from him. That's what this is all about. This has nothing to do with, you know, a guy trying to silence his critics. This has nothing to do with a guy who's trying to use his enormous amount of wealth and power in order to sue someone who is smaller than them into silence, or even try and force them to say something that they would not want to say otherwise. That's not what this is about. This, at its core, is about protecting copyright, and that's very, very important. That way people don't steal from other people. And I think it's bullshit. If I was to give, and again, I'm not a lawyer, but if I was to flash this on screen just so everyone is completely clear, I think the argument here that Ethan Klein owned the original copyright to the content nuke and all of its content therein as a result of simply registering it with the Library of Congress, not the fact that if you actually pulled the content nuke apart. I mean, most people could do this now. You do have the ability and the resources to look at how many minutes of the original content nuke are original material, sketches, scripted, edited material by Ethan Klein. How much of it is clips stolen from Hassan, Sean DeBlack, Denims, other streamers? Did he, at every single instance, reference their streams, who the original copyright holders were, put them on screen? Was he also capable of indicating that every single moment that he was using only specific and select amounts of their material in order to demonstrate that he in fact was going to transform the original copyright material? Like, at its core, if everyone's wondering, when you hear people say transformative, that's not me playing someone else's content. Like, if I played Kaceytron right now, ha, she sucks. That wasn't transformative. And if I went through her entire video and just kept doing that for 8 minutes straight, yeah, she really sucks. Still not transformative. I haven't transformed it, right? Like, it doesn't come down to simply that. There has to be, and again, because it's not going to ever be a one-size-fits-all example, there has to be an argument that you can put forward. A lawyer will do this on your behalf if you can't afford one, but put forward to a judge in order to be like, hey, by the way, I was not intentionally trying to infringe upon her copyright by doing this video where I tell everyone that she sucks. But I needed these clips specifically where she sits back and turns her head like that and you know, looks away, so I can demonstrate. I need the evidence to be able to prove that she sucks by doing this, by pointing at it and laughing at her. So that's important. What they want to do in terms of you know, giving boundaries or limits to fair dealing or fair use laws or even copyright laws themselves. If you have a movie, you come out with a movie that you came up, it's your own idea. It's I want to invent a Smarvel film, and it's about Smolverine. And he's a superhero who has five claws on each hand that extend. He can regenerate. He is actually part of a secret weapon. We'll say weapon Y, and he's actually a mutant, and he is trying to save the world with a team of other mutants. Everything I'm just describing, you're probably like, yeah, that doesn't count. You're not transforming the material, right? So I can't just say play a Wolverine video or a Marvel video on my stream and then sit there being like, this movie sucks. I'm transforming it. I'm telling you all it sucks. Or I can't just make someone else's copyright material, re-release it with a different coat of paint and be like, I've transformed it. Look, his costume is green. His costume was yellow in the comic books. I transformed him. I did. This is my character. This is Smolverine. It's not Wolverine. It's Smolverine. And it's for my new series, Smarvel. You can't infringe upon this. I transformed it. You haven't. You are infringing on the original copyright holder, in this case Disney's, ability to profit off of the Marvel superhero Wolverine. No one would make an argument that you aren't trying to do that right now. So no, that doesn't count. If you took a superhero character and you made them doing something that they would never in their right mind in a Marvel series do, like pornography, all of a sudden you have a much stronger case. This is the reason why you might have noticed that there is porn parodies of very famous properties, Star Wars, Marvel, properties that are incredibly litigious. Ain't no way in hell Disney is going to not be suing you if you try to make a movie based on their beloved properties. But there's no argument they can make in a court of law that that was the original purpose of their property's intention. That like they can't ever sit there and be like, well, there is on some level, we want down the road the ability to make our Wolverine porn, and because of that we feel they're infringing on our ability to make the extended Marvel universe here. And it's like, no, you're never going to do that. That's not what the character's about. That's not what the property's about. This property actually has nothing to do with, you know, sexual stimulation, pornography, all that kind of stuff. This is clearly a satire or a parody of the original intended purpose of your copyright material, and in that case, unfortunately, yeah, they do fall under fair use laws. So that's pretty wild. And sorry, long preamble over. I just wanted to get that all out of the way because I know there's going to be a lot of people asking, Lance, come on, this is about theft. All this stuff is happening in the background for a really long time. Kaceytron made videos that basically wanted to explain to the world how she can't afford this, that she, in fact, is taking care of her parents. You know, she has a parent with disabilities. She is one of the only income earners in the household. She has climbed out of poverty as a result of her career streaming, and her ability to be able to take care of her own family is based on, again, her ability to do these kind of streams and have an audience who watches her and who pays in subs and stuff like that. And she's very proud of the work that she has done in order to, you know, buy their first home, in order to, again, climb out of a lot of the intense extreme poverty that their family was living through, and as a result of this lawsuit now is worried about potentially losing the house.
So first of all, my intention of this statement is not to blame Ethan Klein or accuse him of malicious conduct, so please refrain from making any hateful posts about him. If he believes he has a copyright claim, he is entitled to pursue it. My intention is to shed some light on the financial strain this is causing me and my family, and also why I made a settlement offer to Ethan. So when this lawsuit began, it was unclear how myself and my family were going to survive this. It is only due to the unbelievable generosity of others that I have been able to afford the devastating financial effects of this lawsuit. I will forever be grateful for the kindness and support that I've received during this dark time in my life. We have raised just over $49,000 on my GoFundMe. I have also contributed another $5,000 from various marathons and fundraising, bringing the total up to $54,000. All of these funds were deposited into a separate bank account that I opened exclusively for legal expenses. None of these funds have been used for any personal expense. They have been used exclusively for my legal fees. These funds are not going to last much longer, given the needs of the litigation and the work that is being done to defend against Ethan Klein's lawsuit. In September, I made a settlement offer to Ethan for $17,500. This offer was publicly revealed by Ethan to his Instagram followers. This settlement offer that I made was in no way, shape, or form an attempt to make a payday. It was because the looming threat of financial ruin is a stress that I would not wish on to anyone. My mother, father, and sister all struggle with disability and housing instability. They are my family and they depend on me. Just this month, like many other low-income Americans, my mother and disabled sister had their food stamps taken away. Under the current political climate, the future of funding for other assistance is uncertain. I cannot afford to fail them. I simply want this nightmare to be over so that I can go back to providing my family with my full support.
This was done shortly before the video I'm going to show you now, where Kaceytron has had to make a settlement with Ethan Klein, in which he clearly, and this is my assumption, this is not me saying things based on knowledge, but I am assuming, based on the terms of his victory, he got her to have to read a statement out. Because, yeah, he can apply any kind of pressure he wants. This negotiation is done between two different lawyers, her lawyers and Ethan's lawyer, and at a certain point, obviously she's realizing that she cannot do this battle. She can't take him all the way to a trial. The lawyers will explain very clearly, here's the amount of money it's going to cost you. Right? If we could settle and you can afford to settle, that's what I would recommend in this case. I mean, if you have the ability to negotiate in good faith, perhaps a deal with him where you pay $17,000 or $20,000, you know, and maybe whatever legal expenses he wants you to cover as well. And then in addition to that, he wants you to make this statement that he's written out that you have to read live on your stream. And that's going to be way cheaper to you than trying to take this all the way to court. And for some other people, say for Asmongold, or XQC, two people who Ethan Klein admitted did the exact same thing that Kaceytron did, but he chose not to sue them for a variety of reasons. I think those are pretty self-evident at this point. They could have taken him all the way. They could have taken this. This is a legal battle that most likely XQC and Asmongold would have been like, I mean, fucking, this is not going to cost me a lot in the scheme of things, but fuck you. You're going to try and take me down for shit that you do all the time, shit that I know for a motherfucking fact you don't own the copyright to. Come on, you piece of shit. How many clips in that fucking content nuke do you have that are actually your copyright material? How many times did you do the exact same thing that you're now accusing other people of doing right now? This is hypocritical bullshit, specifically because you want to silence critics of you. That's why you're doing this. You want to silence people who try to speak out against the terrible things you say, your pro-Zionist rhetoric, all of this fucking sexism, misogyny, racism, all the shit that you've been doing for a long time that people are very critical of. You found an angle now to take down some of those critics. And what's even sadder about that is that you're doing people that you think are specifically allied with Hassan because you are so fucking obsessed with that motherfucker. You want him to acknowledge you in any way, shape that, like, if he just won't, I'm not going to talk about him anymore. I don't care. I've moved on to other things because I'm happy in my life and I want to go travel and shit like that. If Hassan does that, it's like I can pull him back in. I'll make the content nuke. He's not watching it though. Why would he watch? He should be watching my content nuke. All right, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to use the H3H3 official Twitch channel to broadcast the content nuke 24/7. It's going to be live streaming. He has to be able to see it. I know he sees it. It's in his fucking recommendations now. He sees it. He's going to have to respond. He's not responding, sir. But hey, there's a lot more people who are responding, and some of them happen to be fans of his. Some of them have even collaborated with him, especially on that iDubbbz video. You remember that one, right? So we got some people there. Hey, look, it's Denims. It's Frogan. You should go after them. Because if you go after them, I mean, they won't be able to afford to battle you in the courts as much as, say, someone like Hassan or XQC or Asmongold could. And then you can pull him back in. Because he's going to have to do something, isn't he? I mean, you can't just let them just you know, have to undergo this terrible strain of a lawsuit. This is litigious. I mean, it could bankrupt them. Some of them are even supporting their families. I don't know if you've heard about this, but Kaceytron, yeah, she actually pulled her family out of poverty with her live streams. She's not making hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, and she's got parents with disabilities. She certainly doesn't want them to go homeless. So she might, at a certain point, if she can't fundraise enough money via GoFundMe, if she doesn't get enough support from all the communities that have said that they're going to stand up for her, if it peaks at a certain point, if all she can raise is like $50,000 or something like that, she'll break. She'll definitely break. She'll end up, you know, signing a deal with you, giving you some cash, and then you'll be able to get her to say whatever you want because she'll have to agree to it. That could work out. Again, I mean, I'm just saying random things right now. This is all just bits, character sketches, satire, parody.
Ethan Klein is suing me for $150,000, which is the maximum damages for malicious copyright infringement. I believe it is highly unlikely that a court would find me liable for copyright infringement at all, and certainly not malicious copyright infringement. My offer was tied to the maximum damages for normal copyright infringement, which has a maximum damage of $30,000. Considering it is unlikely there are any damages at all that I could have caused, even if I am found liable for copyright infringement, my offer of $17,500 felt very generous. For me, that is a lot of money, and it would have come directly from my own pocket. On this note, I want to clarify that any donations that I have received are being used for my legal defense costs against Ethan, nothing else. These funds will not be a part of any settlement offer. In the event that we were to settle, I will take responsibility for any settlement, and any remaining funds would go towards the remaining parties that are also being sued by Ethan. I have no intention to keep any money from this fundraising for any personal use whatsoever. If we are unable to reach a settlement soon, this could stretch all the way to December of next year and cost me hundreds of thousands of dollars in lawyers' fees through the end of the trial. To be clear, I don't make anywhere near this kind of money. Like most Americans, I live paycheck to paycheck. I do not have any.
So just to be clear, this video was released shortly before the one that I'm going to show you today that got released yesterday, which is effectively the video that she's clearly had to agree to make the statements of based on what Ethan Klein wanted her to say. But this was the last cry for help, essentially. This was her last attempt where, again, she had tried already to get her lawyers to agree to pay Ethan out, even if she thinks she's not guilty. I mean, she just can't afford to take it all the way. And that's completely fair. She's in a financial situation where her own family could become homeless as a result of this, as she, again, is taking care of a family with disabilities and didn't want to risk that, and was saying very plainly, I don't think that I have done something that a judge, if this went all the way to the highest levels, would agree with Ethan Klein on, but I cannot afford to do that. I can't afford to potentially have to pay out $150,000. I can't afford to pay out lawyers tens of thousands of dollars every other month when they rack up legal fees to try and defend myself, and I'm not in a situation to do this. And I have no evidence of this, and this is 100% my opinion, but I think that was one of the purposes, and Ethan Klein knew that going into that, which is why he specifically targeted certain individuals that he felt would be able to not financially sustain a prolonged lawsuit of this nature, while at the same time have any kind of connection, loose or otherwise, to Hassan Piker. That's exactly what happened here. And Kaceytron and Hassan, just to be completely clear, are not besties. They don't collaborate. They don't make content together. She's not appearing on Hassan's show all the time. She had the audacity to actually agree that people were unfairly targeting Hassan and Hassan Piker and weaving in a lot of really terrifying geopolitics into this entire deal, where Ethan was trying to turn it into a drama thing, where he was at the same time associating the genocide of Palestinians with his arguments and everything that he was talking about Hassan about. And so she was one of the many people who then was criticizing the content nuke, and she was then targeted, as were two other women specifically. I have no idea what's going to go on with the other court cases. I have an update from Denims that I was going to explain in a couple seconds, but if you watch this, when I was reporting on it a week ago, it's absolutely fucking just depressing as fuck. I mean, you have someone who is pleading. I know that Kaceytron is hated by a large section of the internet because for a long time there's been different misogynistic communities, especially Asmongold's community, that have been targeting her for a very long time. So she has to deal with a large amount of people who are constantly just talking, calling her names, saying that she has no place on the internet, saying that she was just like a titty streamer, that she's only on the internet because there's all these simps who are trying to fucking have relationships with her. She's not entertaining. She provides nothing of value. That's been her life online, and she's been dealing with that nonstop, but dealing with it in stride, I might have, because again, the amount of abuse that she has faced on a regular basis is not the kind of abuse that I think the very people whose communities are waging abuse on her would be able to tolerate for a fucking half day. So just having to, deal with that on the internet on a repeated basis, this became a battle that she couldn't win, and she had to release a statement because, I don't know what it would be like to be in this situation because I'm not currently taking care of multiple different family members with disabilities and being the sole income earner for, an entire family, wondering whether or not if I lose this court case to try and keep my pride or to try and set a precedent to protect other people, if they could not end up homeless. If we have to pay $150,000, we have to sell the house. Like, again, we're dealing with levels of evil here that I don't think people who can't stop thinking about how much they hate Kaceytron are recognizing this for what it is. And the precedents that someone like Ethan Klein, who I know the irony of someone who originally fought against this kind of stuff, ended up doing, it's really sad. So this is the statement that she agreed to as part of the terms and conditions of their settlement. To read.
Responsibility for infringing the content nuke. I want to begin by stating I take responsibility for infringing the content nuke. The lawsuit was not frivolous. When I said the lawsuit was frivolous and based on misogyny, it was to garner sympathy, protect my own reputation, and retaliate against the Kleins. This lawsuit has given me a greater understanding of copyright protection, people's copyrights, and the importance of protecting copyrights in the online content creation community. It is important for the entire content creation community to respect the intellectual property rights of other creators, and I will adhere to the lessons I've learned throughout this process going forward. I also want to make clear that I did not receive any support, financial or otherwise, from Hassan Piker. Hassan never even reached out to me privately to offer words of support. Speaking honestly, I found his indifference to my suffering hurtful, especially after he hinted he might help me behind the scenes. It felt like he wanted to receive credit from the public for him helping me without providing any.
Like, I'm sorry, but yeah, I agree completely that it feels like a hostage video, because it fucking is one. Like, allegedly, you know, man, really got to keep all these banners up. But yeah, Jesus Christ, it feels like there was basically the terms of, hey, we will now accept this offer you've made. We don't know how much. Could have been 20,000, 30,000, 40,000, whatever, met that threshold for a lawyer to be like, yeah, I think we got a win here. You could walk out with, after my fees, maybe $10,000. I know that means nothing to you. That's what you make in a single broadcast. But I mean, you could add, like, she has to read a written statement. Oh, a written statement, you say? And I can make her say anything I want? Well, yeah, I mean, if she agrees to it. She has to agree to it. But again, you have put her under such financial constraints right now that she most likely will agree to the terms and conditions that you present. So, yeah, I mean, if you want to write something, I can show it to her lawyer, and then we can see. I mean, they could do a counteroffer, and then that counteroffer could be something you agree upon. But, I mean, at this point, most likely, it's going to be whatever it takes.
As to the GoFundMe money, to the extent there are any remaining funds after I pay my attorney's fees, I have agreed to pay the remaining funds to the Kleins. The funds will not go to anyone else, including Denham's or Frogan, to defend their lawsuits. For the record, I have agreed to cooperate with the Kleins in their litigation against the H3 Snark mods for promoting my live stream to the extent that I am able. I will offer my support, including testifying under oath to everything I have just stated, to help their cause. I also want to take the opportunity to acknowledge other misconduct and bad behavior I have exhibited online. For example, weaponizing the death of Asmongold's mother was inexcusable. I should know better because I have 3.
What does that have to do with the lawsuit, you say? I mean, why not just throw it in there? Why not add cruelty to the terms and conditions, right? Hey, do you have a community that has frequently been targeting you? Do you have a community that has been mocking you, that has been making your life hell online for a very long period of time? A community that has nothing to do with this litigation whatsoever? By a host, I'll mind you, that did the exact same thing as Kaceytron, but he's not being sued, so it doesn't matter. Throw that in there. Yeah, I mean, why not get Asmongold's community equally as angry and you know, making videos? And Asmongold has made a video about this as well now, so good job.
Disabled people that rely on me. Moving forward, I will do better. I also want to apologize to the crew of the H3 podcast, particularly AB and Olivia. I apologize for calling them cowards for not quitting their jobs. That was a shameful attack on two people who deeply care about Palestine and Palestinian people. AB, along with his wife Lena, have done more than I have ever done for the Palestinian people, including raising over $100,000 in charity. I recognize that they have actually made.
Here's my question, because this is what it is, and the internet is going to react as it does, but I'm genuinely curious. Do you think this makes you look good? Because you won, you got this moment, you got the hostage video. Do you think people who are watching this right now are going to like sit there and be like, everything she is saying seems to be from her heart and she cares deeply about this and she is telling the truth on all these matters, and wow, were we all wrong this entire time? Yeah, maybe I was wrong on these geopolitical issues as well. Yeah, I mean, what else was I wrong about? Now that I've seen this video by Kaceytron, clearly not said under duress of any kind, this has to be the way the world is.
Palestinian lives better, and my online antagonism and trolling has not. I apologize to Ethan and Gila personally. I have said extremely mean and cruel things about both of them, particularly my misogynistic attacks against Gila that never should have been said. I also want to acknowledge the pervasive problem of anti-Semitism in leftist spaces. It should concern all of us. I condemn it and will not participate in it. To that end, I wish the Kleins success in enforcing TED Entertainment's copyright and protecting the legal rights of online content creators.
I mean, this definitely takes it very seriously, I gotta say. It's not as if this isn't a problem. It is. There's a problem, I'd say, universally in all political ideologies with racism. There is. There's problems on the left with racism. There's problems on the right with racism. It just seems to be a society-wide problem. I don't know if, again, financially forcing people to make statements that they would probably not make had they not just lost a very expensive lawsuit is the way to solve these problems. I saw like some people being like, wow, I can't believe Kaceytron just threw Hassan under the bus, said all these things about him. I can't believe the Kaceytron just like admitted all these things online. I can't believe it. And it's like, even the people who you wouldn't expect, like XQC, Asmongold, etc., watching this, they saw this as a hostage video. If you look to their like reactions to this, like XQC was like, I would go bankrupt before I did something like this. I gotta be honest with you. Like I would rather go bankrupt than have to, you know, say whatever Ethan Klein wanted me to say on camera. And you know, Asmongold is, I'm sure, over the moon, delighted. Oh, this is amazing. Also kind of strange, by the way, to do all this in the name of, again, fighting anti-Semitism in different spaces, and then obviously throwing the Asmongold part in there. I'm not sure if you're aware, but Asmongold has a long history of anti-Semitic statements, including Holocaust denial, including distorting aspects of the Holocaust itself, in trying to downplay the LGBTQ plus community that were targeted. Apology, which I can only assume was somehow forced to extract a settlement, was painful to listen to. It is absurd and ironic that Ethan accuses Hassan of being a puppeteer while LARPing as a comic book villain in this way. While it is unfortunate that Ethan appears to have been able to exert control over her in this way, I'm happy that Kaceytron was given the opportunity to minimize the harm to her family, avoid the risk of losing her home, and move on from Ethan's lawsuit. I want to make several things clear. My trial date is 10/26/26, and I look forward to beating Ethan in court. While Casey, and likely Frogan, have caved to Ethan Klein, which is a decision I doubt they have made lightly, settling like this is not an option for me. It is not an option for me because it would set a precedent that endangers the financial security of any streamer that creates reaction content. If you create content that involves commenting on videos on Twitch or enjoy consuming reaction content, you should be on my side. If you don't believe me, please read ahead and let me convince you. I watched and reacted to Ethan's highly anticipated content nuke shortly after it aired. Make no mistake, my coverage more than doubled Ethan's video in length. Ethan's video spanned roughly 104 minutes and spent 230 minutes reacting to, critiquing, and commenting on this video and the content in it, during which I paused 210 times. That means I added 120% of the runtime in commentary, on average pausing every 30 seconds to add 36 seconds of commentary. This commentary length is substantially more than Asmongold, XQC, and any of the other streamers and YouTubers that watch the content nuke in full. As we know, Ethan decided not to sue Asmongold, XQC, or anyone other than the three of us, quote, but he wouldn't sue them. They didn't intentionally try to deprive him of revenue, and you said yourself that you did. This notion is frivolous and fabrication. Ethan claims he is pursuing his claim against me only because some of the claim malicious intent on my part. There are two statements that Ethan falsely claims demonstrate my intent, along with his conspiracy theory about collusion with Reddit moderators, none of whom I have ever communicated with. My first statement in this response to a chat message, I read it out, we're relying on you to stay live so we don't have to give the nuke views, and then replied, yeah, I'm going to stream it. Since he's confirmed it's coming out today, I'm going to stream it. I hope this is self-evident, but it would be bizarre for me to take the opportunity to bring attention to this group of people and how they actually should watch this video on his channel. It isn't my place, I don't care, and making a big deal out of it would only encourage the zealotry that Ethan is upset about. I merely acknowledged that I was going to react to it and moved on. Drawing a broader narrative based on a chat message I did not write is delusional. The second statement is a throwaway shill comment I said after the video before signing off, quote, well guys, if you enjoyed not giving any views to that terrible video, follow, subscribe, throw a prime if you like my content. As an aside, this statement is factual. Almost certainly if someone watched my coverage, they had no interest in watching Ethan's video without the additional critical commentary and never would have. Regardless, this statement does not characterize my intent. As most of you can say, this is a mean-spirited comment in poor taste. Making a joke like this is too far, and Ethan Klein deserves more respect. We can agree to disagree. I humbly request that to take this opportunity to question Ethan's framing of events and call a spade a spade. Ethan is bullying people who said things about him he did not like, and he can do that only because he has more money than them. In doing so, at least in his lawsuit against me, he is setting a disastrous precedent for our corner of the internet, and my hope is that others in the community with resources like Ethan's do not follow in his small footsteps. And I hope she does. I genuinely hope she does, because I completely agree. I think it's setting a terrifying precedent, one that is being done openly and hypocritically to certain streamers whom I guess he believes will be easier to attack. He's attacking specifically women on the internet. He's attacking two Muslim women on the internet, and he is trying to silence them for criticizing his beliefs. Now, I know some people have decided, no, this is bigger than that. This is actually about copyright, copyright infringement, stealing other people's content. Come on, you've talked about that in the past. This is the exact same thing. You just don't like it in this situation because the person whose content is being stolen, you don't like. That's all. And so if you really get down to it as core, this is yet another case of just copyright material, copyright infringement, etc. And that's all that's taking place. And as I've tried to point out multiple times before, the content nuking question, I would say, well, hold on one second. Let me put on my hat here. Ba-boom. The content nuking question contains a lot of content that was not Ethan Klein's copyright material, and he would have to demonstrate that he in fact owns the exclusive copyright to that edit of all the material, and that would be a pretty tall order. And most likely there's going to be lawyers on the behalf of Denim's legal team who are going to have to go through the entire content nuke with a thin, second by second analyzing every single shot that is used to be able to justify whether or not these were used under the terms of fair use, to be able to justify whether you yourself own the original copyright to this before you can claim that other people are infringing on your exclusive copyright by playing your material. But then there would be the second challenge. This one is going to be difficult to clear as well. Whether or not you can actually say that Denim's, in this case, had effectively stolen your original copyright material's purpose and not transformed it in any way, in which they're probably going to present a very lofty case of she in fact did transform it. Look at some of the numbers here. We can see that she is in fact pausing nearly 30 seconds at a time to be able to criticize the commentary that she's seen before her, to transform it, to say that this is in fact wrong or bad or factually incorrect, and poke holes in it. And it's going to be really fucking expensive to do everything that I just mentioned, to do every step of that. And I think the Kleins always knew that. Like, Ethan Klein was well aware that there are certain people who are just not going to be able to go up against this forever, and they're eventually going to settle and give him what he wanted the most. I think even more than, say, a small victory financially, which isn't that much to him in the scheme of things, was to get this Kaceytron video where he can make her say whatever he wants and make her say statements out loud. Hassan Piker is bad. I'm now helping them take down Hassan Piker. The Snark subreddit is bad. Asmongold is good. And also there's an anti-Semitism problem on the left, and I have been complicit in that, and I will now be working with the clients to be able to help them take down other people in this instance, whether that be Frogan Denims or eventually, the final prize, which seems to be who Ethan Klein is targeting more than anybody, Hassan Piker. Yeah. And it's sad and it sucks to watch. It's honestly, more than anything, I found it really depressing to sit back and have to watch, Kaceytron give that speech and say things that I'm sure are going to, be things that you never wanted to have to say out loud, and you wouldn't have done had it not been a situation where you were worried, hey, maybe I'm going to go broke if I don't do this. Maybe my parents are going to lose the house. Maybe, I won't be able to take care of my parents with disabilities, and our lives will be destroyed unless I read this prepared statement online. And it's scumbag behavior, and it's fucking dangerous, because this is the exact kind of thing that you worry about from big corporations. Like, I have been, YouTubing for years now. I've had so many copyright strikes from Netflix, so many copyright strikes from Sony, so many copyright strikes from Disney. And then most of the time, I will battle them. Maybe 70-75% of the time, they take the strikes down, or they, effectively say, hey, by the way, it's true, based on your description that this is an instance of fair use. We didn't have a right to copyright strike you, etc. Or you reach out to the companies that do the copyright strikes on their behalf. But then there's cases, especially with Netflix. Netflix is the fucking worst for this, where they don't give a fuck because they know they're rich and powerful and more powerful than you. So if you make a video where you're talking about how shitty Netflix and Mr. Beast is and everything that they're doing related to the Squid Games and all that kind of stuff, well, their team is going to look at that and be like, no, you don't have the ability to use clips from the show. No, we own those, so you can't. You might have a case, but are you going to spend the millions of dollars it'll take to sue us and get into a court of law for your fucking little 10-minute YouTube video that probably generated you, $50 in ad revenue? Is that what you're going to do? I don't think so. Nope. And then you're like, I think I have a strong case here, because I only used 13 seconds of the show in a bunch of different clips that I used, and I certainly am transformative, and I think any judge, if this went to the highest levels, would say, no, the Serfs is correct. They were transforming your content, they had a right to do this, and you don't have a right to claim copyright of his specific video, but I can't afford it. I can't afford it. I'm going to have to go back. I'm going to edit the clips out, or I'm going to try and, make them black and white and slow them down and distort them so that it doesn't get auto detected. And you win, Netflix. I don't want to battle you in a court of law. So that sucks. But now we have larger YouTubers who really, really don't like facing criticism, who are now able to do it to smaller YouTubers who basically are put into a situation where, this is the future. It's going to be great. Going to be great. A lot of great precedents are being set, and backed up by a lot of people right now who are effectively just like, oh, I hate Kaceytron, so I'm very happy this is all happening. Okay, we've got the statement that we want Kaceytron to read prepared. Can you present it to a legal team? Maybe you should go over it first. Sure. Why is there so much in here about Hassan Piker? What does he have to do with this? I just wanted to say it. Right, but that is, you got her saying that he is a bad person, he didn't help her financially, that he was just taking the credit for helping them when he wasn't really doing it. Sorry, as your lawyer, I gotta ask, what does this have to do with anything? Because, we could get her to agree to it. She can agree to whatever she wants to agree to, but it's just weird you would put that in there. Is there something, like, you wanted to talk to us about in relation, like, did you want to sue Hassan Piker? Did you want to go down that road? No, God, no. But I'd like him to respond in some capacity, or just maybe could you get her to say something that gets him to talk about me, or call me, or text me, or DM me, or anything. Just maybe even like a Discord message, something. And just if he could just reach out. It's been a while, and it'd be nice to hear from the guy.
To our patrons for making this show possible. We could not fund it without you, and if you want to join, please check out patreon.com/theserfs to unlock bonus episodes, uncensored content, and all the good stuff. Thanks to Anna Loves Riley, Addercap, Bobby Lasers, Cheryl Alvarez, Comrade Junkie, Doug Caddy, Everything Important, Hegbard Salim, Multimondi, Omni, Political Papi, Preston Kroll, Quiet One 85, Riley and Anna, Roller Dragon, Cernicus, Stellar Gwyn, Sebastian Demmel, Tigwick, and Words Greenwood.